preaching on today. We preached on the bread of life just a few weeks ago. God, I ask that you anoint my heart and anoint my lips. Give me your words this morning and anoint the ears of those who would hear a message, that the message they hear would be what you have for them on their faith journey today. Amen. As the living God sent me, I live because of God. So whoever partakes of me will live because of me. This is the bread which came down from heaven, not such as our ancestors ate and died. Whoever eats this bread will live forever. For those of us that are believers in Jesus Christ and the followers of the teachings of Jesus, we're going to be here a while, for eternity. The gospel this morning tells us that we will live forever. And the Gospels also tell us that we are working towards life everlasting. I think sometimes that we get so caught up in trying to figure things out in our lives based on some heady or heavy theological discourse, and we forget that it really shouldn't be that difficult. In order for us to achieve this life everlasting, we must learn to cope, deal, and live with this life that we have. We must figure out for ourselves what we need on our faith journey to make this all tolerable. The authors of the Psalms have some very beautifully written prose and poems that can help us along the way. The letters to the early church from the apostles and the prophets share some great insights. And of course, the great lessons from the person Jesus in the Gospels are of great importance for learning our way on this journey. I think sometimes, though, that we forget that some of the tools we need in life must come within our own very being. Sometimes we forget that to be in true connection with our Mother Earth is also very important to our centering. We as humans get so wrapped up in learning the right stuff or reading the right books to achieve this everlasting life. We so often forget that everlasting life is not something in the far distant lands after death. Everlasting life is now. Right now. It's not something that we're going to get later. If we truly believe in the teachings of Jesus Christ, this is everlasting life. Look for ways that we can celebrate this everlasting life with joy and excitement. We cannot and must not spend our energy waiting on the future and living in dread of what today has to offer us. Grab life by the horns. Live it abundantly. Fear not what others may think or how they may judge you. If you want to dance in your tutu, put on that tutu and dance. If you want to get dressed up in cowboy drag and go dance the streets, then go dance the streets. Live life abundantly. It's life everlasting now. We must learn to live in full communication with our Creator and the creation that has been given to us. I want to share with you a piece from the Mind Fuel Daily. Mind Fuel Daily was founded to help readers find inspiration and purpose in every day. They believe that each person is capable of finding his or her best life here in the present moment. Happiness is a natural state of being. When we laugh or smile or even think of something positive, that feeling of joy we get is usually accompanied by a freeing sense of calm, an experience that returns us to our most natural identity. Sometimes when life gets busy, We have to go a little deeper to experience this natural happiness. Yet once we realize that happiness comes from within, we can do a whole lot each day to restore and replenish our natural joy. A few examples. Follow your passion. Pursue the activities that stimulate creativity and imagination. A helpful mantra for this: always make time for what makes you lose track of time. Kind of an interesting way to look at it. Make the time for the things that make you lose track of time. Don't worry about what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. A quote from Howard Thurman. Stay thankful. Staying thankful for the simple things in life can make a huge difference in daily attitude. When we stop, breathe, and look around, we see that there is really a lot to be grateful for. It is not joy that makes us grateful. It is gratitude that makes us joyful. A quote from David Rost. Smile often. A smile is a sentence without words, a language without speech, and a song without music. Smile whenever possible. I think it's always possible. Use your smile to change the world. Don't let the world change your smile. Laugh more. Release your inhibitions and let the laughter flow. We all knew how to laugh before we could ever speak. Return to that early experience of living in joy. A well-developed sense of humor is the pole that adds balance to your steps as you walk the tightrope of life. And think positive. It is not so much our life events as it is how we perceive them, which so very often determines our happiness. Keep the mind focused on what is good, healing, and hopeful about existence. The primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but what we think about it. Be aware of the thoughts you are thinking. A quote from Eckhart Tolle. I know that this may sound very simplistic for a message from a pastor. However, sometimes we need to remind ourselves that life is not meant to always be difficult. It's certainly not meant to be dreaded. Life is meant to be lived and enjoyed. There isn't enough room in your mind for both worry and faith. So you need to decide which one will live there. The choice is yours to freely make each day. Several years ago with MCC, I delivered the opening sermon for a district conference. And that sermon was living life abundantly. And it was all about how we work as churches to make sure that we have everything that we need. That we get so caught up on the simplest and most trivial of things that we lose our sense of humor. I shared a story during that sermon about a board members who actually resigned a church because they were arguing over which type of toilet paper the church should buy. When life becomes that mundane and that stupid, give up. If you can't laugh about it, what does it matter? You know, it really has to be fun. Life is meant to be a challenge, but it's also meant to be something greeted with excitement. The Psalms, yes, they are beautiful and they have some wonderful words for us. But the psalm from this morning was evil and dark and scary. And yet you read 2 more psalms over and you hear, this is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Or make yourselves full. Experiential relationship with Christ. Don't dread life. Today we commemorate 1-year anniversary of the awful riots in Charlottesville. I watched on TV yesterday as they were preparing in Charlottesville and how everybody looked so scared and were dreading it so. Heather Heyer, the 32-year-old female that was run over and killed that day, her mother was interviewed at the spot where she was killed. She didn't look at it in a sense of dread. She said, I've got to live each day trying to do something better, because that's what Heather would have wanted. Don't live your life in dread. Don't live it in fear. Yes, there is a rally today in the national capital. Let them rally. Pray for their safety, for everybody else's safety. But let it be. And when it's all over with, try to find some kind of joy in life. That's what it's all about. Live life abundantly. God has already given us the bread of life and has promised us everlasting life. The good thing that I want to share with you today is you don't have to wait till they turn the furnace up and cremate your body or dig 6 feet deep into the ground to bury your body. Life everlasting begins with each and every breath you take. Live it abundantly. Amen.